And if any, I mean, Mouthpiece been around a long time. You've seen brothers that's just, they terrible. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure y'all done brought some of them down here and you'd be like, oh, we shouldn't have brought them.
What up, what up? This is Gemstones, representing Gemstones for life, and you are in the field with Trackstar. You already know what it is. Yeah.
What's going on? You in the field with the Trackstars, Ryan Righteous, SEANTANA, and DJ Jeremiah. This episode is brought to you by audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Trackstars with a Z. Currently reading Social Media Explained by Mark W. Schaefer. You can get that book for free on us, audibletrial.com/Trackstars.
Make sure you go into www.trackstars.com. Download the podcast each and every Monday. Send us your music submissions. Send us your video submissions. Follow us on Twitter at Trackstars, Instagram at Trackstars. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and most recently, go to iTunes. Subscribe to the podcast, please.
Yeah, man, and leave us comments. We've been seeing the new comments coming in. We really appreciate it. I'll get in the habit of reading a couple of the comments at the beginning of shows, so y'all remind me of that. We just added to the BSAC crew. We got Mouthpiece in the building. How you doing, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, back with us. We just interviewed him recently, so that just went up on Thursday. So y'all may,
which is getting great reviews.
Yeah,
People
man.
are really loving that interview,
Praise
man.
God.
They're like,
Praise God.
the ghost. Y'all found the ghost.
So I don't know if you guys have ever seen this segment. This is called Noteworthy. So we have some of the listeners will write in anonymous letters to us, almost like the Strawberry Letters or the Bird Show does, like anonymous call-ins. But we want to give people an opportunity to basically share what they're dealing with, stuff that they probably don't feel comfortable talking to their church about or their friends about. They can share it with us, and we give them as much wisdom as we can. So this is a letter coming from one of the listeners, and there we go, Maya.
All right, y'all, here we go. Hello, Trackstars. I am writing a noteworthy to you because there's an issue I've encountered with one of my best friends during high school regarding the hip-hop god. Trying to keep a long story short, me and her were close friends. We never dated, but everyone wanted us to because of our amazing chemistry. All right, side note. However, every true love story has its obstacle, and that seemed impossible to overcome, and I've had plenty of those problems during our relationship/friendship. First off, we're both Christians, but she had more trust issues than me. Second, the main reason I'm writing this noteworthy is that we both have different biblical ideologies, not only toward one another, but toward others as well. She was the first Christian to tell me about a man named C. Craig Lewis, who did a special sermon called The Truth About Hip Hop. In his sermon, he preached about how artists sell their souls to the devil to be famous and make labels, conduct satanic rituals to make artists' records known. Moreover, she told me about a man named KRS-One who wrote a book about hip hop being a religious culture, and that anyone who listens to hip hop worships a hip hop god, not the God, a hip hop god. I obviously disagreed because I can't worship anything that I don't believe in. But second, KRS-One wrote it fairly recently, so his records wouldn't be true about a hip-hop God because our God is God and no one is greater than him. But sadly, I've realized that the United Nations accepted hip-hop as a religion. She strictly believes the things that not only C. Craig Lewis preached about, CHH and hip-hop in general being evil, but also what KRS-One said in his statements are true too. If I'm going to be working my way to be a Christian artist, I know that I'm bound to meet someone like her down the road again, and I pray that God can train me with the answers next time to handle a conflict like that. So my question to you guys are these: do you think what C. Craig Lewis states in The Truth About Hip Hop is true to just the mainstream hip hop or also CHH as well? And since the United Nations recognizes hip hop as a religion because of KRS-One, is she right by stating we are worshiping a hip hop god even if we don't believe in it? How would you be able to respond to a Christian brethren or even a non-believer who believes this ideology? Lastly, do you guys think the theory about the hip-hop god might have hindered the CHH movement to a certain extent? I think it did to most Christian brethren who know about these guys. And of course, if you want more info about C. Craig Lewis or X Ministries or KRS-One, you can Google them, look them up on Wikipedia. Looking forward to you guys' discussion on this. Thanks and God bless.
Yeah, I saw Will smiling. So
That was
I saw him smiling like, oh, I got a lot to say on this.
C. Craig Lewis. So what do y'all think about the whole Church of Hip Hop?
I mean, it's a lot of questions. It was a lot of questions. We have to tackle one at a time.
Jump back on the table. Yes.
I mean, are we talking about what we think about?
So it sounds
Craig Lewis, or are we talking about
Is this a girl? Like, is the core this girl? Like, he's swayed by this girl?
Of course, the girl has heavily influenced him because there's chemistry, as he stated.
Yeah.
So what she says carries some weight, but it's really causing him to think about this whole hip hop as a religion thing. So, what do you think?
So the question, I guess, is should we be doing Christian hip hop at all if the whole thing is cursed?
Or if it's considered a religion outside of Christianity?
Are we worshiping their God?
Exactly.
Boom.
You want to hit? You want me to hit?
I can say a little something.
You want to say something?
You can go first.
I mean, in all honesty, and I'll use this example. We have the gay and lesbianism community have taken hold of the rainbow, and they've made it a symbol for them. Does that mean that now the rainbow's been cursed? You know what I'm saying? Does that mean that now the rainbow's off limit? Sometimes we allow people to take hold of something, deem it as something, and run with it until everybody accepts it. So for me to say that because some people hold hip hop as a religion means that it's deemed cursed or something that we shouldn't mess with, I don't agree with that. I love a lot of points that Craig Lewis makes, but I also believe that he's the type that throws out the baby with the bathwater a lot. You can't take one bad thing or a few bad things out of something that you see and then say it's all bad. You can't. If we do that, then you might as well tear down every church that we have, every Christian rapper that you've ever heard, because we all got flaws. So if we're looking for one or two things to write something totally off, I just don't think that's enough to do that.
Now, you know about this. He has artists, right?
I know he has a church.
He makes a distinction between Christian rap and Christian hip hop.
Right.
Is there really a difference?
Go ahead, son. Okay, just first of all, to address the question from the writer, if you're a man and you're supposed to be leading the relationship, the first thing I would say to him is research and find out what you believe. Because if you're a husband and you have a wife, you have to be able to wash her with the water of the word. Regardless of what she believes, you have to find out what you believe so that you can teach her. And yes, God might speak to you through her. The Holy Spirit might speak to you through her, but ultimately you're responsible for that relationship. So just advice to him, figure out this stuff, figure it out, and do your own research, because it's not something you're going to be able to get from, a radio interview or watching somebody else. It's something you have to study and read and research from the Bible, first of all, and then do historical research and all that. As far as the whole distinction between Christian hip hop and Christian rap, I definitely agree with a lot of G. Craig Lewis's points, and a lot of them are very biblical, very prophetic, even ahead of their time, because a lot of the stuff he said was before a lot of the stuff was revealed. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely an anointing there. That doesn't mean that at the same time I really don't see the whole hip hop as a curse word. I definitely agree with the fact that if you are worldly, you can be a Christian rapper. You can say I'm a Christian rapper and still be worldly and still be undelivered, demonized, caught up in the world. It doesn't matter if you call yourself a Christian hip hop or Christian rap. Now, of course, there are some people that see hip hop as a culture, and they see it as their way of life, and they see it as, oh, if I'm hip hop, that means I got to be in touch with the world and be in touch with sin constantly. We can't let it go. We're not delivered. And so if that's hip hop for you, then yeah, you need to be delivered from that. But as far as the word hip hop, the beat, the rhymes, the DJing, the breakdancing, that's not a religion. It's just a form of expression. That's what I believe.
Well, I would say too, to that point, when I first started thinking about this whole Christian rap versus Christian hip hop and all that, I thought in the beginning that it was just semantics, like, oh, you call it what you want, type deal. It's the same thing. But I have to agree with Sos in that when you think about the culture, and say like, I am hip hop, what does that mean? I've heard Christian rappers say, I am hip hop, and I think some of the things in hip hop shouldn't translate over into Christian rap. Some of the even like maybe some of the mentality, even some of the dress, some of those things shouldn't cross over into what you call in Christian rap. And I think a lot of times that happens, because what happens is they're influenced so heavily by that, they don't want to really come out of it totally. you can still rap, you can still put songs together and still produce and all that kind of stuff, but does that culture have you? And I think in some of our Christian rappers, that culture still has them. I mean, they'll be ready to fight you for certain things, you know. It's still kind of like a thug life type thing. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like some of that should be washed away once you redeem, but you still can rap. You still can, you know, do all those other things.
Yeah, so I think, okay, so that's one layer. So I'm trying to remember what else he said, because, I mean, I think you addressed the girl part of it, because I think that was the core issue. Now, have you guys heard of KRS-One and the Church of Hip Hop? Yeah. What do you feel about that?
That's just good old fashioned false doctrine.
Yeah,
good old fashioned.
And in all honesty, yeah, like he literally has made it into a religion. I remember when I first started doing a lot of work with Arrow Records, which is a label that World Changers had put out. This is years back. But I remember them inviting KRS-One in. And this is back when KRS-One called or deemed himself to be a Christian rapper. I don't know if y'all remember that. He came out with Spiritual Minded. Yeah, right. Well, he did that, dropped that album, but then what people didn't realize is that he really showed himself to be a wolf in sheep's clothing, because he came out later and said, I did that just to prove that y'all Christians will believe anything. All right, that's one thing. But then he took what he learned and created this. He basically took pieces and parts from every religion or belief system, and then he began to create this, what we call hip hop. He created this hip hop Bible and all of this. Right. So that's where that came from, and like you said, it's false doctrine.
That was the same experience, man. I'm DJing, you know. I work with a lot of churches in Detroit, and so somebody had me do a ministry event for them, and that's when KRS came out, you know, with the whole Christian spiritually minded thing. And so I listened, because back then I listened to everything, and I actually bought everything. I don't buy everything anymore, but so I listened to it. And I listened to what he was saying, actually, and it was a lot of false doctrine. Like, alarms went out. You know, like, I don't have to agree 100% with something to listen to it or even to promote it. Back then, I didn't, definitely, but I couldn't even promote that. So, the lady that brought me out to her youth group, she told me about the album. I said, "You don't want that. You don't want that. That's a false prophet right there." Even back then, it was like the late '90s. I was like, no. I had a lot of tolerance back then, but I didn't even tolerate that. And what he said, what Mouthpiece said, is exactly right. And that's the doctrine of Balaam in a nutshell. What they do is they want to partner with the church so that they can steal from the church. And that's kind of what BSAC is about. We're trying to stop that because we think that, we got a famous Christian. Then a few years later, we found out what the real point was, what the real purpose was. They come in when somebody is not fully repentant, or when we try to so desperately to partner with the world. Satan's strategy is actually a stealing strategy. It's to steal, kill, and destroy. And so that's a perfect example right there. What the doctrine of Balaam is, you find an unbeliever that claims to be a believer, but Satan is sending them to get information so they can copy and steal.
So let me ask, do you think as Christian hip hop artists that the genre itself has been tainted because of this association? Like, do you feel like either the name needs to be changed or you need to, adopt a different genre or whatever to communicate the gospel because of this association, or it can be redeemed? You know what I mean?
I think it can be redeemed, definitely. I mean, semantics is not the name of the game. That's my point, man. It's not about changing your name. It's about changing your heart. And ultimately, everything that we minister or stand for is in the Bible. And that's kind of what I try to contribute or try to support is biblical language. Like, we can't keep trying to come up with gimmicks. We have to actually disciple. There's no shortcuts to this game. Like, you can't just say, well, I'm not hip hop anymore. I'm a Christian rapper, but you still don't know what Jesus said about doing this. Like, there's no shortcuts. It's like we have to actually disciple people and teach them what Jesus said, have them be delivered from demonic influences, and learn what the Bible says and be like Jesus. Like, there's no shortcuts to that. It's all about discipleship.
I think it really has tainted the genre, and I'm not all about doing away with names or whatever, but when people become aware that hip hop is like a real religion, it turns them off. You know, we already Christian hip